Hello dear students, in our previous class, movements from Gujarat and Bihar, we studied that students' movements started from Bihar and Gujarat, and movement from Gujarat was led by Morarji Desai, and movement from Bihar was led by J.P. Narayan on the request of students who were protesting against Indira government on the issues of rising prices of grains, cooking oil, and other necessary things, and rising corruption in government offices. So, in next step, today we will discuss judiciary conflict with the government. So, let's start conflict with judiciary. This was also the period when government and the ruling party had many differences with the judiciary. Do you remember the discussion about the long drawn conflict between parliament and the judiciary? You have studied this last year. Three constitutional issues had emerged. Can the parliament abridge fundamental rights? The Supreme Court said it cannot. So, you also studied in the previous class, there were some conflicts between the judicial system of India and the ruling party, that was the Indira government. And there were some issues, especially three issues were there. First was, can parliament abridge the fundamental rights, or parliament has the power to cut fundamental rights or amend them. At this, the Supreme Court of India firstly said parliament cannot make any amendment or cut in the fundamental rights of the people given by the constitution. And the second was, can the parliament curtail the right to property by making an amendment? Again the court said the parliament cannot amend the constitution in such a manner that rights are curtailed. And the second issue was regarding the parliamentary power, and that was related to right to property. And a question, can the parliament curtail the right to property by making some amendment in the constitution? So, in the answer of this question, the Supreme Court of India again said no and stated that parliament cannot amend or cut the fundamental rights of the Indian citizens by making amendment. And the third issue was, the parliament amended the constitution saying that it can abridge fundamental rights for giving effect to directive principles. But the Supreme Court rejected this provision also. And the third issue was that parliament claimed that parliament had right to abridge the fundamental rights of citizens for giving effect to the directive principles of state policy. It means parliament said that for making well-being of poor people and large portion of society, and for coping up with directive principles of state policy, parliament can make fundamental rights amendment, and parliament has right to cut them. So again, Supreme Court rejected this provision. This led a crisis as far as the relations between the government and judiciary were concerned. You may remember that this crisis culminated in the famous Kesavanand Bharati case. And this crisis, between the parliament and judiciary system of India came to an end with the with the decision of Keswanand Bharti case in 1973. In Keswanand Bharti case, the Supreme Court of India accepted that Parliament can curtail the fundamental rights of the citizens. So, in this way, the conflict between judiciary and the government came to an end, and in this case, the court gave a decision that there are some basic features of the constitution, and the parliament cannot amend these features. And in addition to the statement that parliament can make amendment in the fundamental rights, the Supreme Court of India also directed that if any amendment is made by parliament, then by that amendment the basic structure of Indian constitution should not be amended, otherwise that amendment will be declared unconstitutional. So in the statement, Supreme Court said that parliament has right to amend, but the basic structure, basic features of the constitution must not be amended. Next, two developments further added to the tension between judiciary and executive immediately after the Supreme Court's decision in 1973 in the Keswanand Bharti case. So there were two cases just after Keswanand Bharti case. They also increased the tension between judiciary and ruling government. A vacancy for the post of Chief Justice of India, it had been a practice to appoint the senior most judge of the Supreme Court as the Chief Justice, but in 1973, the government set aside the seniority of three judges and appointed Justice A.N. Roy as the Chief Justice of India. So the next tensionized case was the post of the Chief Justice of Supreme Court was vacant, and in this case the senior most judge of Supreme Court is appointed as the new Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. But in 1973, when the post of Chief Justice of Supreme Court fell vacant, at that time the government did not pay any attention towards the seniority of three judges and abolished this rule of for the post of Chief Justice of Supreme Court. And according to the former practice, the senior most judge of the Supreme Court was to be appointed as the Chief Justice. But in 1973, the government did not follow this practice and neglected the seniority of three judges, and in this way appointed Justice A.N. Roy as the Chief Justice of India. The appointment became politically controversial because all the three judges who were superseded had given rulings against stand of government, and this issue of neglecting seniority of three judges in appointing A.N. Roy as the Chief Justice became a political controversy, and all the three judges whose seniority was neglected by the government, they gave decisions against this appointment. Thus, constitutional interpretations and political ideologies were getting mixed up rapidly. In this way, the different interpretations of the Indian constitution and political ideologies got mixed quickly. People close to the prime minister started talking of the need for a judiciary and bureaucracy committed to the vision of executive and the legislature. And the people who were in favor of the prime minister, they started talking that the Supreme Court or the judiciary system of India must work according to the laws which are made by the legislature. Or in other words, we can say the judiciary and the bureaucracy must be committed to the vision of executive and legislature. It must not prove a hindrance in the way of executive and legislature. The climax of the confrontation was, of course, the ruling of the High Court declaring Indira Gandhi's election invalid. And the climax of this conflict between judiciary and the ruling party government was that High Court of Uttar Pradesh, Allahabad High Court, Uttar Pradesh, declared the election of Indira Gandhi in 1975 invalid from Rai Bareli. So this was the time of conflict between judiciary and the ruling party. And dear students, in next class we will study declaration of emergency. So watch this video from the beginning till end, and thank you for watching this video.